Alright everyone, now it's time for the Occult video 197, Killer Clowns. I was literally asked to do a video on this by a couple of different subscribers, putting out there, what should I make the next few Occult videos on. I still don't have an idea for number 200. You can put it in the comments. Go back through to make sure you're not mentioning something that's already been covered, preferably if you can, because about half of the suggestions I had already covered, and it's like, well, you didn't really go through the playlist. And then I was like, well, it's like how many hours long? Okay, well, I can forgive you for that one, I guess. Here's a little bit about Killer Clowns. It's sort of a creepypasta, but not entirely. We have to understand that there is, technically speaking, a kernel of truth. It literally goes back to like John Wayne Gacy. But fear of clowns is older than that. Fear of clowns is old as time itself. It's because the person, as an illusionist, making themselves up in gaudy colors, being something that they're not playing a role, it can creep people out. It's sort of almost uncanny valley. It's like a human doll or something like that. It gives people the creeps. Then we've got John Wayne Gacy, and we've got to talk about that separately. John Wayne Gacy, very real serial killer back in the day, killed, I think, like what was it, a dozen people or 20 people, most of them young males, teenagers. He was into that sort of thing. He would torture them and bury them under his home. This overlaps somewhat with the Satanic Panic. Serial killers were very much in vogue, Gacy being one of the main ones, along with Manson, who technically is not a serial killer, and Ramirez at the time definitely probably number one, because he was literally saying Hail Satan all the time, and that creeped people out too, and it fed into sort of the US mentality, especially with regards to the overlap between clowns and murder. And then you've got every other like 80s slasher flick involves clowns somehow. Like literally, the carnival is a spooky place after hours, and clowns will run around and try to stab you, and it's semi-cautionary. It's sort of like early version pre-internet creepypasta. It's basically telling teenagers, don't go and try to make out in the closed-down carnival for fear that some carny is going to come after you and beat you over the head or something, but they would use all sorts of ghostly excuses. No, there's like, yeah, they have like, satanic orgies in there, and there's like clowns running around. They'll fucking hatchet you and kill you and then, eat your body and stuff like that. But then we've got to look at recently. What happened in the last few years is that some people, literal pranksters, that's all they were, got the bright idea, hey, I'm going to dress up as a clown and I'm going to go around and scare people. And the reason for this appears to have actually originated with YouTube. What seems to have happened is that a few sort of viral videos where people were playing pranks. They dress up as a clown, they'd go out, and they were, getting millions and millions of views by scaring people. There was the one, I think, in a parking garage, and they had this dude dressed as a clown over a fake dead body with a baseball bat or a knife or an axe or something, and just sort of standing there and waiting. People would come by and he'd start walking towards them. Usually they'd run. And people, I think, sought to emulate that, and so a lot of these sightings of scary, spooky clowns, like leering at the playground and stuff, I think part of it is moral panic. That is, people were seeing things that weren't there, or misconstruing something real, or making up a story for attention in some cases. I think the later stories are in that category usually. In some cases, it was probably people who literally were dressed as clowns sitting on the street corner, and they were doing it to frighten people. They were hoping to generate a news story. They realized that it was in the popular consciousness. They're like, hey, this will be hilarious. Get this on video. We're going to laugh at this years from now. I think that's basically what happened. The idea that like evil spirits dress up as clowns, no, not so much. That's not authentic in any variant of magic that I know of, except maybe stage magic. It's literally the magic of the silver screen, or you could say the magic of the flickering screen of your computer at this point. I know computer screens don't flicker anymore like they did back in my childhood, but you get, the reference. It's sort of like the movie screen used to popularize what was creepy. These days, it's almost more popularized by fanfic and creepypasta on the internet. What you've got is a situation, though, where if someone pulls what would have, 20, 30 years ago been a local prank. Hey, I'm going to dress as a clown. I'm going to wait in the graveyard. It's Halloween. These kids with all their candy are going to come through. I'm going to jump out from behind a grave. They'll go running, and pretty soon we're going to have an urban legend about the clown ghost of our graveyard. What happens now, though, is that those kids whip out their iPhone at the same time, slap it onto Facebook or YouTube or wherever, make a tweet about it, and all of a sudden the whole world knows about it, and then it gets replicated. And so you actually have a multiplier sort of in play now for every urban legend. It's like I've mentioned, in closing here, I'll say this. It's like I've mentioned with witch gravestones. The original story, nobody knows the origin. At some point there had to have been an origin point, or possibly multiple origins. But virtually any gravestone in the United States or Europe that is spherical is now likened to witchcraft. And any grave almost that has a statue of a weeping angel is said to glow different colors. If you look in just the Shadowlands Index, you can find dozens of accounts of these, even though the legends are almost always exactly the same. The reason is because even in the earlier wave of the internet, it got popularized. People realized, hey, there's this urban legend somewhere in Ohio or Florida or something about this round gravestone. It's a witch stone. Oh, we've got one of those in our local graveyard. I think maybe there's a witch in it. Maybe this is a trend. And then in some cases, it's literally mischief. People are replicating that story, or it's even opportunistic. There are stories. There are cases that appear, especially, this is why in my haunted locations videos, I don't include restaurants. I almost never include motels unless they're historically famous landmarks. Tourist traps, basically commercial outlets, stores, malls and stuff, I won't include them because it could be that an employee literally posted that story to get more business. It could literally be that. So I would say with the creepy clown stuff, it's basically viral. It's creepypasta. No, clown demons don't actually exist as far as I know. I'd very much like to meet one. It'd be interesting to see them juggling flaming skulls or something. But so far, no luck in calling one up on the old Ouija board. That's about all. Peace out.